Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call this public safety meeting to order, July 21st, 2021. It's 3:02. Secretary, can you do roll call?
Barry Funk here. Dawson Field
Here.
Mike Carell.
Present.
Tom Kern.
Present.
Jason Rhodes.
Here.
Charlie Thacker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Before we go on, if Commissioner Fields don't care, I'd like to go ahead and say a little prayer for Summer Wales. She's still missing, and I'd like to just go ahead and open up the meeting by doing that. I can do it, sir. Please stand.
Lord, we thank you. We thank you, Lord, for all you do for us. We thank you, Lord, for guidance, and we ask for guidance. We thank you for peace. We thank you for love. We thank you for forgiveness. Lord, we ask you right now to keep your healing hands and your arms around little Miss Summer wherever she's at, and not just her, Lord, but all the people this happens to way more often than never should happen. But Lord, we ask you to wherever she's at, lean down on her, Lord, and let her smile. Let her see a face, Lord. Let it be yours, if nothing else. We ask you to be with us, go with us to this meeting. Again, we ask you for guidance, and we ask you for forgiveness where we forget to ask. Give us our sins and many shortcomings. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Okay, before we do approval of consent agenda, I need to add something to the agenda. We need to discuss, and I don't know if Mr. Woods is here or not, but if not, we need to discuss courthouse security and city county building in Church Hill.
For security?
Yeah. We'll just do it at the bottom of the agenda. If nobody's got a problem with it. If not, we'll just go ahead and add that to the agenda. So now I will entertain a motion to approve of a consented agenda.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Thacker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. We'll move on down to approve of minutes, April 28, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Thacker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kearns. Any discussion, changes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. All right, we'll move on down to order of business. We'll start with the EMA director.
Jason's passing out a written EMA report, which is basically what I'm going over here.
Nancy, you want give me one more? Give me one more row, check it, or yeah, I think I got it good now.
This is our EMA quarterly report that Jason passed around. Went into a little more detail on this quarter, just with the events we've had happen with the grant money and things that we have on the table as far as open projects. 2020 emergent grant, block development, community block development grant, $250,000. That grant is still ongoing. That's for an analog radio system. The state gave approval on that on June 10th. On June 11th, I signed the PO for that program to move forward. 10 weeks, from today's estimated delivery date for that, and that's due to the worldwide semiconductor shortage. And that's where we're at on that project at this time. Homeland Security grant, that's a regional grant. We serve on that committee, and that's how that money benefits Hawkins County. 12,000 to law enforcement, and then the other used for sustainment of these teams, which is a regional hazmat team, ambulance strike team, those type of things. EMPG grant, 41,000. That's a typical grant we get, and $500,000 Walmart Foundation grant. We're also involved with the assisting of the procurement and contribution of AED devices. I know that's an out-of-order resolution. Would you like to speak on that, Mike?
On the AED?
Yes.
I've got a resolution turned in the Full County Commission. It's out of order resolution. What it is, it was when we approved that, we approved it in a budget amendment, and I had to take it out of budget amendment and rewrite it into a resolution because we had to make 2 changes, I think. What were the 2 changes? Can't exceed over $100,000.
Couldn't exceed over 100,000, and the initial grant, the initial wording of the grant was that it would be in all county vehicles, which we deemed that wording wasn't correct to the insurance company.
First, it's select vehicle now, I think.
And another issue we ran into is initially we thought the sheriff's office would be able to be involved in that cardiac arrest response program, and they're not due to some liability issues. But the insurance companies told us how we can still deploy those devices in those cruisers, but do it in a way that the insurance provider approves that.
And then I also had to add a TCA code for EMS director to know where all the AEDs are located so he can do whatever. I don't know if Jason's here or if he wants to speak on that or not, or.
John, very quickly, was the liability issue a non-training, goes into training?
The liability issue was that the law enforcement officers would technically become first responders if they were asked to respond to those calls, versus if they just happen to be on a call where a cardiac arrest happened and have that device in the vehicle. It was the physically being dispatched to the cardiac arrest as a cardiac arrest for an AED that was an issue, versus just having that device in the car.
So it's about if you're working or not working, I mean, if you're on the job or not on the job.
It was more, the way that program was initially thought it was going to work would be if there was an officer close to that cardiac arrest, they would actually be sent for that AED device. But the insurance company would, didn't advise to go that route.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll let Jason kind of explain the TCA code where he needs to know where it's located.
The TCA code with the AED response program requires that there be a list of where the AEDs are, as well as a list of the training personnel for that agency to respond with the device, to be on file with EMS, so that way we know who's trained and we can maintain their certifications, make sure that they maintain their certifications to actually use the device.
Thank you.
I've got on here, we're always pursuing new grant opportunities, and with the conferences and stuff starting back up, I hope that opens up new opportunities for us. We'll be attending several conferences over the next year. We've got on here, anybody short a vehicle, with a vehicle that was a surplus vehicle from the military that for probably the last 5 years or so, anybody had used. The sheriff needed that back for the work crews, and that was his vehicle, so obviously we had no choice but to give that back to him. But that's created a void in my department on having a spare vehicle for when vehicles are getting serviced, or if we need an additional vehicle to stay with a piece of equipment or something like that. That did become an issue during the search on the first 3 days we had a vehicle in the shop, but I was out of town, so I didn't create any shortfalls there. Because we didn't have a need for that vehicle, we were able to get it out of the shop as soon as I returned back. Also got up here as far as grants, I presented to the ad hoc committee for the vehicle and the DMR radio upgrade. As we've said, an analog replacement, floor replacement is in the works. It's going to happen. But in order to upgrade that to DMR, which ties all the sites together, by some means we have to get these radios into the field to tie those sites together. Otherwise, you're still going to have gaps in communication from one end of the county to the other. Going into just EMA information, we'll be attending the conference in August. Our hazard mitigation plan is near state approval. We've already started work on the BEOP, which is a basic emergency operation plan for 2024. Had a visit with, the team actually came and visited with me yesterday, post that search event in Beach Creek, just to see how those events actually work in the field in the rural county, and we're working on some flow charts and plans for how that's well implemented.
Who usually come visit?
Team.
Okay.
And I'll get into that further in a little bit, on how well that worked and why we're moving forward and putting on paper on how we actually did that. Fire management class, I had nothing to do with getting that going, but I wanted to mention that it's going to be deployed to volunteer and Cherokee High School. I was in some initial meeting about a year ago with the director of schools. One of the instructors is here, John Murnay, and if you'd like to speak on that program just briefly on what their goals is. That program will not only benefit fire, but the rescue squads, EMS, potentially as well as hazmat. Emergency management.
Well, the county school system, I don't know if you have heard, but they're starting a fire management program class, and they're having, like Jamie said, the Cherokee and volunteer, and I'm doing the volunteer classes. And what we're hoping to do is when these kids reach seniors, by the time they're seniors, if they start, as a sophomore, junior into this program, they'll have the knowledge and skills where they can take the firefighter 1 class. So when they come out, they'll be 18, they can take the written test and the practical and actually serve our public. And we're going to be, and we plan on using a lot of these guys in here. We're going to be reaching out to volunteer departments, fire departments, Mount Carmel, Churchill, rescue squads. And it's not just the fire service we're going to be talking about. It'll be EMS, it'll be hazmat, it'll be all the emergency services going to be covered in this program. So that's just a little bit of information. It's new. We're not sure, exactly the direction we're going to go with it yet. But got any questions or anything you think of? Thank you very much. Is that it, Jay?
Yes. That could potentially be huge for this county as far as volunteers and trained personnel into the field over the next few years. Going into response to state notifications, we're on average for a typical 30 to 45 state notifications and responses per quarter. COVID-19 continues. Obviously, the pandemic is slow from where it was, but when the weather starts to cool, we have people retired inside. We'll just have to continue to monitor those numbers. Over 200,000 pieces of COVID protection equipment we've assisted with bringing in the county. The current COVID numbers are there, the little graph of how it is currently in the county. Had a large fire involving 3 emergency vehicles requiring environmental cleanup during the quarter. EMA coordinated with commercial vehicle owners and TDEC during that cleanup to get that site cleaned up. Had a search operation in Carter's Valley. We deployed the communications and command trailer out to that event. 79-year-old male, he was found within 3 hours of that event by canine. Our large-scale Beach Creek operation, which still continues, the initial call came out for that on June 15th. Some questions on that we obviously won't be able to answer at this time due to that being an ongoing investigation and ongoing operation. Calls received on the 15th of June, 16th Amber Alert was issued, which continues to be active at this time. CBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office are the lead law enforcement agencies. Churchill Rescue Squad is the lead ground search operations agency. over 100 agencies from the eastern United States has responded to that event. I don't want to step into anybody else's arena here, so I've just listed some things that was EMA involvement, and just to note, EMA, as far as within my staff, we never lost communications on the ground. I've got AT&T FirstNet phones deployed with everybody in my department. I was out of town when the event first happened, and was able to stay in contact with my employees on the ground continuously throughout that in the initial few days. The command trailer communications unit was deployed. It was there for 13 days. All of our vehicles are being used to move equipment, supplies, personnel, including our UTV. We use that UTV to deploy canine teams deep within those woods, so those dogs tire out bad when the environment's as hot as it was outside there at those events. We'd load those canines over that side by side with their handler, and we'd get them deep into the woods, so they didn't have to start from the roadway. That way those dogs didn't tire out as quickly. We deployed an incident management team from the region. Nearly every EMA director and operations leader from the region was at that scene at some point. Those that weren't there were in phone contact with us for any reason for the search operation or daily operations to give them a call. I'm proud of how that went, how smoothly that went. District Task Force was deployed. I served as overall EMA leader, point of contact for county government, logistics. Caleb served as operation officer for the majority of the event. Randy was used within logistics during that complete event. Just an interesting fact of how much an event like that costs and the resources that are required in that. We used nearly 400 gallons of fuel just during that operation, and that continues as we're being deployed for a day operation here or there. There was obviously some communications issues in the initial couple days of that event that was reported by media. EMA along with 911 assisted in deploying 3 SALs into that event, which was AT&T's FirstNet, Verizon, and Tennessee Advanced Communication Network. I'll let some of the other agencies speak on exactly what they ran into the first couple of days. But some of the neighboring counties gave us radios to use with that Tennessee Advanced Communication Network SAL while it was being deployed. That's all I've got on the EMA report. Any questions?
Do you know when this radio stuff is going to be completed?
I literally talked to him 30 minutes ago because I knew that would be a big question today. And he said right now it's all due to that semiconductor shortage. He said probably about 10 weeks is what Motorola's telling him at this point. Our vendor that was awarded that bid also uses other brands of equipment, and he says that's an industry-wide issue at the moment. It's not specific to Motorola. Just like automobiles, that semiconductor global shortage is what's causing the delays. What caused the delays prior to that was the grant. Even though it was an emergent community block development grant, we did not have to go on that project until June 10th, was when we were actually given the go for the project.
I want to try to stage 1. When you get stage 1 done here, these towers and so on, what is the next step we're going to have to go through to get this issue fixed?
Initially, we're deploying this out analog, and I've even got that broke down into some different sections. The first will be Bays Mountain, and then we'll move to other sites till we get that initial done. Once we get all the sites up as far as analog, and then we're looking to the north as well for a site toward the Clinch area, that will vastly improve coverage. We did some installs of some antennas on Short Mountain just to do some testing without new equipment, and it vastly improved the coverage of those sites. The problem that will linger will be the connectivity between the sites. So all that's required once this is installed is a software update into the repeaters, and then the end user devices in the field for the departments that's going to be on DMR. in order to connect all the sites together if we decide to go that route, if we decide to go DMR.
So when are we gonna decide if we're gonna go DMR or not?
We're waiting on is basically the radio, so I've presented that to ad hoc and in this committee. I think that was prior to you coming on this committee that we discussed that, and here the decision was to go ahead along with potential upgrade in the future of DMR. I'm willing to readdress that at any time we need to. Also, another decision that's gonna have to be made there will be who gets radios, as far as if, initially, we have enough frequencies to do the EMS and the sheriff's office DMR. And we've talked about the rescue squads also being on that system. So if we want to give the radios just to those agencies, we'll have to make the decision if we're doing that versus if we're giving the radios to every agency for future expansion if we were to add fire into the system later. Fire is just like all other agencies, their radio equipment. Some of them are probably older than some of the EMS and sheriff's office equipment. Some of that equipment up there, is probably 25 years old or older.
So have we ever decided who's gonna be in charge of these radios when they get here?
We have not, and right now there's no order for radios. That's something else that has to be addressed, and I know that's come up in committee a couple times, ad hoc and other committees. If the county retains that equipment, if we gift that equipment to the agencies, what the decision's gonna be there. I've reached out to counties around this, and with the exception of Granger, and I've still not got the answer back from them, almost everybody gifts the radios to the agencies, and they do that to relieve themselves from maintenance and liability of that device.
How many radios we're gonna be talking about, Jamie? Do you have any idea yet?
We'd have to get a more solid number, and I might have that information in front of me, we can get that together. Within the sheriff's office alone is over 200, and this is 60 plus devices in it. And then the fire department, when I reached out before, when we were talking about TAC, I had some departments said they needed 50 radios, and I had some departments say they needed 35, so I don't know if we would put a limit on that, exactly how many we gave each department, or how they justified how many they needed, or whatever. What we did in the past, when this was done in the past, which we weren't switching to a new system, so everybody didn't have to have new ones, but they bought devices for the vehicles. And that was done on grant money back around 2005. Any other questions?
So, does this really need to go through a committee to decide who's gonna be responsible for these radios, or what do you suggest?
That's left up to whatever. I don't want to be the one making the decision on you get a radio and you don't, because I don't feel like that's my position. If I do that, I'd ask that everybody gets radios, because it's the only fair way to do it. These devices are the type devices, when they're deployed in the field, they're going to be lost, they're going to be burned, they're going to be stolen. That's going to be an ongoing problem. As we already have that issue with equipment that's in the field today, with department issued equipment and county owned equipment. Those type of devices, it's just in harsh environments.
Are we gonna get a better breakdown, who's getting these radios, or are we just gonna?
Well, yeah, and so I'll ask the committee, who do you guys recommend to decide who gets them and who doesn't?
Mr. Chairman, I think before we start talking about who's going to be in charge of radios, we need to figure out whether we're going to buy radios or not. That's not even on the agenda yet. So I think if we're going to start talking about, how we go for the next step for stage 2, let's get stage 1 in place. Let's get the analog towers up. Let's get them operable, and then look at what it's going to take for those DMR radios to come into play once that's done. And Jamie, I guess my question is, and I know that I'm going to ask you to kind of think outside the box here a little bit. If the analog towers had been in place, let's say they had been in place, had been built, we're in the middle of a pandemic of a generation, and you had a 20-year event, I think I've heard it called when Summer went missing.
Yes.
So we had some pretty out of ordinary circumstances here. All right, so let's just say our radios were working efficiently with an analog system. Could we have been able to communicate efficiently in Beach Creek
It would have definitely been improved.
with the analog system?
With the analog and vastly improved with digital. Especially if and we've talked about connecting cell phones into this devices, into the system as well. At that point, if that officer, that search group, whoever was on the field, if they were making connectivity to the network, the coverage is limited by the cell coverage of the system, whichever way you're getting into the system.
Okay, so I would suggest, I would love to see the county at some point invest in the DMR system. I want to see the analog system working first.
Yes.
And then, once we are able to secure the funding, and I'll reiterate my desire to see some of the grant money that we're receiving from the federal government. I would love to see that money go toward buying DMR radios if possible, according to the rules that the federal government lays out for us, or what have you. But when we start looking at who's going to be in charge of those DMR radios and all that, I think we just need to get it on the table of, are we actually going to get them or are we not, and then decide from there. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Correct.
You said that y'all didn't lose any communications, is that right?
My 3 personnel did not.
And what type of radios was y'all using?
AT&T FirstNet, which is cell phone based. There was a lot of work put into getting that cell site put into Beach Creek, and that definitely paid off for my department. There's a monthly subscription for AT&T FirstNet, just like any cell phone company as well. Without that, I would have lost communication with all 3 of my personnel on the ground, myself and the other 2.
In the original talk of radios, I think it was around 535 that was mentioned, and now it's up to about 900, is that correct?
I've not heard a 900 figure. I presented a 530 of what the state money, COVID money, that would be sufficient for using that money. I also said that will not cover the number of devices needed if we provide Sheriff's Office, EMS, Rescue Squad, and all fire members with radios. That amount of money will not cover that. That's where this decision will come into play on if everyone gets on board, if just the departments that would be going to DMR get those radios. I wouldn't recommend buying all those at one time, even if we do the same approach that Jason's talking about. Buy only the ones that are going to be used DMR, get that system up and going, and then buy the next phase of that project, just to make sure you don't end up with additional equipment.
And how is this going to affect the firemen if you go to DMR and none of them have a radio?
Right now, we don't have enough frequencies to put fire on DMR, but there's also other reasons not to put fire on DMR as well. They use analog pagers because this county doesn't have sufficient cell service to get away from those pagers. So right now, the DMR side, they wouldn't be on, but their radios are 25 years old. There's advantages to them getting new radios. One of those advantages being with certain software, those radios can be programmed and never touched again. We would send out a message that says on Monday night, everybody put their radio at 7 o'clock on the programming bank, and we could remotely send out those programs. Where that would be used would be if you were needing to add another event channel in or another channel into that radio that you've been added in the future. Right now, if you told me, hey, we're going to add this channel and it needs to be added into everybody's radio in the field, you'd physically have to touch every radio in the field to program it. So that's another advantage that comes with fire getting DMR radios. Right now, all of our firemen and rescue squad personnel, they buy their own equipment. A lot of them are lower quality devices, which obviously don't work as well because they're a lower quality device. But they just buy what they can afford. So, for volunteer agents in this county, I've never been issued a radio.
Anybody got anything else?
Jimmy, you may have covered part of this, but on the cell towers we have,
Yes.
what type of work has been done so far to upgrade those cell towers?
You're talking about on the cell side, Bert, not radio,
They
just,
about-
just
And,
on those public communication sites. Right now, I've done some work basically getting ready. We've opened, took some of the equipment out of the racks, just basically have the racks sitting there ready. I did some brush cleanup on one of the sites and did some tower maintenance on Town Knob, just making sure that tower was sufficient for the loading that's gonna be on it. Other than that, we're basically just waiting on the equipment. When I was talking about doing the one test site on a short mountain, we put some coax and antenna up, and instead of a combine, we put a duplexer. I'd say we increased that site by at least 25% on what it was covered. The only areas in Clinch that we have trouble with that site now is from about halfway up Clinch Valley, on past it's a post office and continuing on north toward Hancock County. Other than that, Short Mountain site covers it real well in lower Clinch.
Anybody got anything else? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
If anybody has any questions on this radio project or anything as it progresses, give me a call.
We move on down to safety designation.
My report would be longer, it's complicated. In the recently adopted plan, operation of the Occupational Safety and Health Program Plan for the employees of the Common Hawkins County, it states in section 5, subsection B, quote, administrative or operational head of each department, division, board, or other agency of this employer shall be responsible for the implementation of the Occupational Safety and Health Program Plan in their respective areas. In compliance with this, an OSHA-designed office area safety inspection checklist was given to each office. Each office of county officials located in the courthouse, annex, and justice center. They were instructed to check their office for hazards listed within the document, and they would send me a copy of the complete checklist and the documented corrective actions needed. These forms are to be completed each month. I have since received completed checklist for the following departments: property assessor's office, register of deeds office, clerk of court's office, and trustee's office. The concerns that were listed in these checklists have already been addressed and concerned. Any concerns have been taken care of, or the appropriate authorities, departments, the maintenance and so forth, know what the issues are in the process of correcting them now. I also completed a safety inspection of the Laurel Run maintenance building on July the 8th, and I completed a safety inspection for the common areas of the courthouse annex building on July the 20th. That's it.
On the checklist of the offices, so you leave it up to the office holder,
Just within their office.
just within their office, so.
Yes.
Do you double check these? I mean, like,
I haven't yet, but I've only had this office for about 3 weeks.
well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
If I don't, that you planned on doing, or if you had to do it, I mean, I didn't know.
Yeah, what the deal is, I want to have them check it off each month, and that will keep us within the state guidelines. If somebody looks at it every 30 days, this is a part-time job, so I don't have time for that or every month. So occasionally I'll go around and double check too. But that way I have those records on file that they've checked it, they're responsible. I only really not seeing any concerns so far. I haven't got all of them back yet, but they know that they're to be turned in by the end of the month, and I'll get one from them each month. Their instructions are they keep one, they keep a copy, they send me a copy, and I make copies and I give one to the Sarah and Whitney Good, and I keep one in our records. So, but they only check what's in their offices. The commons area, like in here, any of the storage areas in this building, I check it, and I'm responsible for doing those checklists, same way at the Justice Center.
I mean, that's fine, I didn't know if it was something.
Yeah.
I believe in all of our officers, I believe they would be, you know, doing the right thing, but I just didn't know if it was lawfully something that they were okay, or if it's somebody that had to be certified. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean,
And
that's the only reason I
in
asked.
that document that was approved, that's what I read to start with. They're also, you know, as part of this plan, was that each office holder was to be in charge of their own area.
Anybody got anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff's office. Don't have anything. 911.
I'll be quick. We're continuing to work with the ad hoc committee on the possibility of a backup 911 center. The search in Beach Creek, we logged over 1,000 additional man hours with the mobile communications trailer. That doesn't include the dispatchers that were actually at the district working. We determined once we arrived on scene there that communications was going to be a problem with the phones and the radios. The 911 district is a foundation agency with FirstNet, so we immediately requested that they deploy a site on wheels. They generally require about a 24-hour response time for that, and they were on scene within 12 hours of us requesting that. So that anybody that had AT&T service or FirstNet, that gave them service at the search site. Radios were also an issue. We tried to do some patching with Hawkins County Rescue Squad with their communications trailer and their event repeater, but that was on the same band, VHF, so we couldn't do that. It was causing some problems. So we requested that TACN deploy a site on wheels as well, and they deployed that and actually put it in Beach Creek. TEMA and Sullivan County EMA provided us with a cache of approximately 50 radios to hand out to the responders that were on scene. If it hadn't been for them providing those radios, we would have been in a mess in Beach Creek. We would have had no communications with all these people. So if we get to the point of looking at purchasing radios, that's something that we need to look at, is having a cache on hand for events like this. And I think that's about all I have to report.
Anybody got any questions? Thank you. Hawkins County EMS.
Each one of y'all should have a report of our call volume for the quarter, as well as our average response time throughout the county. A couple little updates with EMS. We've received our new cardiac monitors. They have been put in place. Actually, just the beginning of this week is when they were put in place. Also, we did receive 2 more auto pulse devices, which is mechanical chest compression devices. Every frontline truck in Hawkins County will have one of those devices on it, which helps alleviate one person from having to do chest compression during cardiac arrest. It also provides adequate, appropriate chest compressions for hopefully a better outcome for the patient. No new update on the other remount that the county was going to purchase for Hawkins County EMS. My understanding is they're still waiting on those chips for the ambulance to actually run or to get delivered. The only other thing that I've got for you, I brought it up, I believe it was sometime last year, it might have been even before the pandemic started, asking this committee to possibly meet with the EMS Exploratory Committee once again and look at a possibility of some type of resolution to pursue their recommendation for the county. The big reason that I'm asking for this is to assist in the recruitment and retention of employees for EMS. Some way being tied to the county to be able to qualify for the retirement system that the county has. Other than that, that's all I've got unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody got anything? Thank
Thank you.
you. Hawkins County Rescue Squad.
Mike, do you mind if we let Churchill go first and then I'll fill in behind them?
Try to keep it as brief as I can. So far, year to date, Churchill Rescue Squad has ran a total of 224 dispatch calls to us. Of those 224 dispatch calls, 97 of those have been EMS assists, 2 fire standbys. They ran 32 first responder calls with the EMS since implementing that program, 80 motor vehicle wrecks, 2 search and rescues, 5 water rescue, and 6 other. Of those, year to date, we have walked 9,583 man hours and a total of 7,021 miles driven. Of those, obviously, a hot topic was the summer wheel search. Churchill Rescue Squad logged a total, as of right now, this number has continued to grow as we work off and on during the search, 2,648 man hours. That was just our agency alone. If you put that in kind of perspective, not just the man hours, the national average for a volunteer value is $28.54 per person per hour. So just our agency logged $75,573.92 worth of services, one call. 13 days, we provided $75,000 worth of services for free. At this search, we ended up receiving 120 different agencies, 1,194 ground searchers. That did not include the command post, logistics, or law enforcement. We covered approximately 4.6 square miles and a little over 3,000 acres of the Beach Creek community from Ben Hill out. This occurred over 13 days. Just our agency alone, at this time I have actively 33 members on my roster. Of those 33, I have 25 actively involved in search operations. One thing I want to reiterate to this group, especially being the voice for all these agencies represented here and aren't able to be here, you guys should be proud of these agencies that you have in this county. For a few of the county commissioners, Mr. Roach, Hannah Weiniger, a few of them that were able to stop by that I was able to see. I know there were several that I wasn't able to see that stopped by. These agencies worked flawlessly. There was never an ill word. There was never an argument. We worked flawlessly for 13 days. It wasn't me. It wasn't Corey. It wasn't the sheriff. It wasn't TBI. It was us as a county, outside the county, and also nationwide from other states. With including that, I personally want to express our gratitude for the businesses in our area, and outside our area, churches and other organizations, and also Hawkins County Rescue Squad for taking the lead on the logistics side of it. For 13 days, these searchers never had to wonder if they were going to have water, food. We had everything from socks, ibuprofen, sunscreen, bug spray, additional clothes, additional gear. We had everything that they would plausibly need to make sure these guys stayed safe. And Hawkins County Rescue Squad took a large chunk of that responsibility and ran with it. Corey, Assistant Operations, Tim Lewis, and his wife Sandra, I kept telling Sandra she was a real MVP. She orchestrated every meal, food, supplies. I never want, she never, she actually had a question, never had to ask her anything. When I walked out of the command post, it was there. It was taken care of. But that was very beneficial. And of course, one thing that it kind of Jamie hit on, and also Lynn. One thing this county really needs to, and Jamie in his office has put timeless hours into the radio system. If it wasn't for Hawkins County having their mobile event repeater, they were able to deploy there at the command post, we wouldn't have had radio communications hardly at all the first night. At one point, we were actually moving one of our rescue squad vehicles on Ben Hill, because at one point we'd have radio communication with Central Dispatch, at one point we wouldn't. They deployed that assisted greatly. Orchestrated right there close to the command post and on the Ben Hill Road, very spotty, limited radio communication. With the assistance of, like Jamie stated, Sullivan County, the state bringing in and attacking SAL that was deployed there at the Joint Information Center where all the media was staged at. At that point, I believe we only had 1 or 2 areas that we had issues with radio communication, and it was as simple as those groups would literally step to the side, move a couple feet, up down the hill somewhere, and the dispatchers then provided, we had radio communication with everybody. And I don't know what all everybody here has done as a career, but when I took my position at Church of Rescue Squad's captain, one of my main responsibilities is the safety of my people. I had no issue knowing that I knew not only my people, those 1,194 searchers that were there, law enforcement included, I knew where they were at, and I had accountability of them. The tagging system, that is something this county needs to look into. I understand there's a dollar sign there, but I do not believe any of you guys standing right here put a dollar sign on one person's safety and what that one person's worth. If you've not been through Beach Creek and pulled off Beach Creek Road and pulled on the Ben Hill Road, Fields Road, Bell Road, any of those roads through there and start looking at terrain, one ill step, seriously injured or killed. And we had 1,194 people searching that area. So, guys, I can't stress enough. I don't want to go to one of my members. I'm sure Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, Rescue Squad, EMS, you guys don't want to have to make that door knock on the phone going, your child's father, mother, brother, sister, they're not coming home because of lack of communication and safety for these guys that are doing this as a volunteer for free. With that being said, I know there's been a large question on what type of detrimental effect financially did the summer well search have on my agency. I can't say it had a detrimental effect for the simple fact is we won't end in the red and we'll continue to provide the service we provide. What this is going to do is it's going to take away from these members training, equipment, and also some of the critical infrastructure issues that we are having at our agency. A frontline rescue truck that had catastrophic engine failure, that's now having to be pushed back a little bit. Our parking lot, access and egress to the back part of our bays, and also the HVAC units. But I'd like to say on that, with our frontline rescue truck, once again, Hawkins County, the night that happened, provided our agency with the rescue truck. I continually tell them, guys, we're trying to work, we're trying to get to where you guys can have that back. And I was told until I have that truck replaced, for sure, that truck's to stay in Churchill. That alone will not be able to ever be repaid to them. And that is greatly appreciative of that agency. That being said, kind of other things are going on. First responder program has, as I feel like, has kind of went off without a hitch. The times that we have members available to be able to be available for first response has worked very well. The feedback that we've got from the EMS crews, from Jason and some of their shift supervisors has been great. It's great to hear as the Captain Rescue Squad that these guys are there to help. Also, our agency is currently working with EMA and also TEMA with Hawkins County Rescue Squad, especially after incidents, to provide ICS and SAR classes through the state. These will benefit in multiple ways. One, also just for the search and rescue aspect of it, but also for the ICS, the command staff side of it. That's one thing that I will say, Jamie's crew, when they made contact the first night to TEMA, we had a TEMA representative there for our district within several hours. We did, as he stated, the regional IMT team. We have people from Knoxville, Nashville, within our region and district coming up. What do you need? How can we help in the command post? And they went to work. This would also alleviate our guys to be able to assist with that throughout the county, to maybe eventually provide some interlocal agreement between the agencies that if something like this were happening again, we have those people that can initially start it until we can get these other additional resources into place. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Prior to this, when we had the communications meetings,
Yes, sir.
there was a gentleman here from Tackett.
Yes, sir.
And with the DMR, he stated that we had like 78% coverage.
Mm-hmm.
In his own words, he said if we added Tackett, we would only get maybe 80%.
That 80% kept my searchers out of state and the people here locally safe.
I'll address that, if that's all right with you, Tim.
Go ahead.
What we talked about during my presentation was DMR. We're getting into a different system here, which is TACN, which was also presented during the initial radio conversations. TACN owns their own frequencies. They're not limited. TACN can be built out as big as you can afford to build it out. They can provide that if you have one spot that doesn't have coverage, you're willing to spend the money to fix that site or that area, that they can fix it, but that comes at a great cost. And their flexibility there is on their own frequency. So some of those numbers were by how much money we were willing to put into that system. But it also gives advancements in the future. In 10 years, if you decide to build that site, or if they decide to build that site, they have frequencies to do it.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, I really appreciate everything all that we has done, but, I mean, county commission, I mean, I feel like every time something happens, we start getting blamed for radio. And the way I look at it, we can't do nothing for radios until we see a resolution or something come in front of us to decide on what to do on the radio. And I mean, I don't know, how come we always get a finger pointed at us? I mean, we have done everything that we're supposed to do that we've seen in front of us so far.
Absolutely, and if I elaborate on that, my statements that I made is pointing no blame. This is just providing you additional information that you guys don't see. I mean, like I said, in Beach Creek, I'm just providing you information saying, hey, this system works. There's no point in blame. This is additional information, reaching out.
Well,
We can't do it on our own. We're trying to come to the commission to say, hey, help us. We're not pointing blame. I don't think any agency here would point a finger at any one of you guys or any one of them when every one of these seats are filled. This is just providing information to help you guys make the right decision for us.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that statement. And, I mean, I've sat here and I've listened to part of you, but I mean, as a county commissioner myself, I mean, the issue at hand right now is Summer Wells.
Absolutely.
And nobody has given us an update on her since I've been here today.
Absolutely.
Would you like to do that, or?
What update I can give you from speaking with local law enforcement, Lieutenant wouldn't want to elaborate. My agency at Search Operations, we know no more than we did on day 13 we scaled back operations, other than the fact that she is missing. And we are assisting local, state, and federal resources and agencies to whatever they may need. We don't know. If I had the information and I was at liberty to tell you, I would tell you today. If I knew where she's at, she'd done been back June 15th. I mean, and that's the thing we keep getting is we want updates. I mean, I have updated the media outlets locally, all the way to Nashville, all the way to New York, on the national news level. I've updated everybody to everything that I know. And like I said, I wish I could give you more.
So what can this committee do? I know the radio's an issue, but we cannot do nothing to the radios until something comes in front of us to approve for the radios.
Absolutely.
So as this committee, is it anything we can do that could help help things out, or?
I may be wrong, but I don't think my TCA code anyone can put a resolution except for commission. I may be wrong on that, but I think that's correct. I don't think anyone can introduce a resolution other than commissioners, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, nobody's probably to introduce.
Are you willing to support a DMR resolution
If you give me better numbers than what you're giving me so far, I mean, you come here and tell me 600 radios, I mean, I'm not doing that, cause you're gonna have to show me why you need 600 radios.
I mean, I don't, it depends on how far you want to scale this out. I'm willing to assist you with a resolution if that's all we're needing for you to present.
Well, I mean, let me say this while you're up there. And back when I was.
I don't want this to be held up just by not having a resolution.
No, it's not held by resolution, but if my understanding is right, county commission was advised, or pretty much told to step out of this. It was not our problem, not our job to deal with radio. I mean, and I may be wrong when I say that, maybe I am, but I mean.
That's not been said by me or my agency. You're the funding body for the county.
Yes, sir, we are, and the money is there. I mean, we were told that finding the radio, finding this and finding that was not up to us to do any of this. We are nothing but a funding body, like you said, and going off what Commissioner Ralph said, that we get and I personally don't get two shits, but who gets the blame and who don't. I mean, it says about the little girl missing, but I mean, things being said that it's not up to this body, this commission. You know, we don't know what's going on. We don't know radios. I've spoke this 100 times. We don't know radios, and we're waiting on somebody to tell us get this, get that. We were told a long time ago that, you know what, we don't have anything to do with this. And I've said that, and we also know that we could have stuck everything back like it was before. We could have put everything back like it was before, which wasn't ideal. It wasn't the best solution in the world, but we had no complaints ever coming to this county commission about anything being wrong with the radio systems at all until everything was put down and everything went wrong. After everything went wrong, all we had to do was fix the problem we had at hand, and then let's look at something else we could do. We could have done that a long time ago, and we wouldn't be doing this right now. We would at least have the system fixed. And if I'm wrong, please somebody else that knows about radios tell me. I mean, because that's all we had to do, and you know, and fix the problem at hand for whatever that. We never had a problem with spending $10,000, $20,000, $100,000. We were okay to fix whatever, and let's get y'all back in safety. That's all we want to do is put you guys back in safety, and you know, put everybody in safety, and everybody be able to communicate with whoever. But just as Commissioner Harrell said, you know, and I'm the first to admit, you know, I got a mouth. I don't care what I say, you know. And bottom line is, well, we're waiting. We're waiting on somebody to say, you know, and the grant money's out there. We can't push anybody along and say, do this faster, this faster. But if there was a better solution, and we could have put things back like they were to start with, and we could have all been okay, which, like I said, we had no complaints, no problems with anything then. If we had it, nobody was telling this body that we had it. If we could have done that, and we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now, then we should have done that, as we have said 10,000 times. I know me personally, I have said that numerous times. That's what we should have done. But I didn't say let's stop there. We need to find the best system coming and going, but you don't leave something broken until you figure out what to do. You can fix it. You put a Band-Aid on anything. At least a Band-Aid's better than nothing. A Band-Aid, you know, fixing something that's broken, at least patching it up is better than not doing anything at all. We should have done that a long time ago. We shouldn't be dealing with this stuff right now. We should have already fixed it. We should have already had everything done, and we should be moving forward to find a better solution than what we had. Because obviously the solution we had before wasn't the best, but it was a whole lot better than what we got right now.
That was done through this committee too.
Yes, it was.
Mr. Jesse made the motion, I seconded it, if I remember.
Yes, and then we got told it wasn't our job. It wasn't up to us to do this. After we got told that, it wasn't up to us to keep our noses out of that. It wasn't up to us. So, I mean, bottom line is, you know, and that's not even defendable. I'm sorry, it's not. But it wasn't you. It wasn't anybody in person. I mean, it wasn't you. I'm just saying, we could have done it to start with, and we made these motions, and nothing happened. The radio systems are not on us. Money is on us. We made the motion to do it, and we were at a style. It just stale out. Nobody done anything. Even though the motions were made by this body who keep getting blamed for that. The main problem is the little girl is missing. The little girl's missing at 100%. I don't want to take away from that. Don't want to take away from that at all. But I, for one, am sick and tired of us getting blamed for something we got told to wait. To wait. You guys need to be safe. That is our main priority. I don't know half you guys, but I love all you guys, and I want all you guys to be safe. But when we're told, you guys need to stay out of it. You guys need to just keep your mouth shut, stay out of it. We'll take care of it. We approve. Like Mr. Commissioner Thacker just said, we got shut down. We got shut down. Now we're waiting on new systems to get done. Again, one more time, and I'm going to shut up about it. We should have fixed it back like it was to start with, and then moved on and processed and done something better. Not stopped, done something better.
That was the motion that was made.
Yes, sir. By this county commission, the motion was made.
1 year ago.
Huh?
1 year ago.
1 year ago. So it is not us. We're waiting on the authorities that have power to be, that have the control to build better radios and do stuff, that know what they're doing, because we don't. We're waiting on those people to tell us something else to do.
And that's not saying for you to go out here and just throw a bunch of numbers together and come back here and tell us what a resolution. You're going to have to show us what you're needing and why you're needing it.
I promise you, my phone rings daily about the communications issues in this county.
I'm sure it should.
I promise you, the only thing holding me back is funding.
Well, I can promise you that y'all were given what you needed to be. You were given what you were needing, Mr. Miller, to do, to put it back like it was to start with, so we can move on to something better. But that wasn't done. I don't know whether that was vindictive toward one person, the other person. We didn't want this agency, didn't want that agency. Bottom line is, you were told and you were given the authority to fix it back, and nobody did. Don't shake your head at me and tell me you weren't.
I don't think that resolution was approved. It
sure was. It sure was.
I want $435,000.
And you were in here when it was
That
approved.
resolution was approved pending grant.
No, we approved to fix it back like it was until we could find something better.
Back on $30,000.
Yes.
To put it back like it was until we could come up with a better solution.
We had we had figures given to us by the company, I forget, AMK, whatever it was, to tell us what to fix. Oh, we even gave y'all more money when it be done. So let's turn around and let's figure out now, let's quit being daggone he said, she said, and everything else, because it's not up to us. Let's fix the damn radios, and let's do what's got to be done, man. I mean, let's just put them back like they was, if nothing else. And let's move on and let's do something better now that we can keep going. But the finger pointing that got to stop, man.
I've never been told as the EMA director of this county that I had $425,000 and $430,000 to use freely. I was told to obtain a grant to offset that cost.
Nobody said anything about $425,000. I'm talking about we could have fixed it back like it was with less than 30 grand, and then we could have moved forward to find something better. When it was like it was before, nobody sitting out here can tell us that before, when it was like it was, that it was bad. If it was bad before that, nobody told us. Nobody told us anything until the radio systems of AMK went down. Whether AMK is good or not, I don't know. I don't know, but I know that we didn't hear anything when it was AMK. I'm not saying AMK is the best solution. Not at all. I don't know no radios. All I know is when it was AMK, we didn't hear anything, and we gave permission. If somebody needs permission from us, as far as I'm concerned, if your boy's life's in danger, you don't need permission to do anything. If the money's sitting there and we told y'all you can go ahead and fix this back like it was, fix it back like it was. And then let's spend $500,000 if we knew to on something better. But at least we were back where we needed to be when we got no complaints at all.
The order for the initial analog has been placed, and it was placed as soon as that state approval came. You can research the grants if you want to. You're lucky to have got one.
Again, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. Problem being,
what I was asked to do.
That's not true. I'm not blaming on you. I'm not blaming on you at all. I'm just speaking out loud. Anybody wants to hear it, anybody's conscience it lays on, it's on them. Because we spoke. We said fix it back like it was. Let's fix it back like it was, and then let's continue and find something better. Let's continue and find something better. I mean, just like anybody does with something, you know what? Like I said, you may have to put a Band-Aid on something. It may not be the best solution, but if it works, then it works for the time being. That Band-Aid sooner or later is going to wear out. Yes, we know that. But we gave y'all the okay to do the Band-Aid to fix it, and nobody done it. Nobody done it.
The archived audio's out there, we'll pull it up.
That was to send those radios, get them fixed. Put them back in place.
Don't walk off and say, Mr. Miller, you got something to say. I mean, seriously, let's talk about it.
I don't have the facts from every one of those meetings, nor do you.
I know, sir. I know, sir. You're right, I don't.
We can pull that archived audio.
I don't need to pull it up because I can tell you where everybody was sitting when it was said. We know who made it. We know who gave it okay. We know who voted for what. All I'm saying is,
I'm willing to sit down with the archived audio.
then wire it up, get on the computer, because you got one just like I do. Because I ain't gonna sit here and do it, because I know what was said. Bottom line.
I know.
But that being said, I know for a fact that we approved to fix it back. We approved to fix it back, at least where we had nobody complaining to us. Again, I'm sorry if you think I'm coming down on you, I'm not, Jamie. I think you do a fabulous job like all you guys do. But I think that there's more politics involved in half of this crap, and more daggone, I don't want this person doing this work. I don't want this company doing this job for me. I don't want this agency in here. I think there's more of that involved. And that comes back on county commission that we didn't do anything. And it's not county commission that didn't do anything. We approved it. Right there, the rest of us. There's only 2 or 3 new members on this board. 4 of us is all it takes. We approved it, man. I mean, we could have done something about this a long time ago. Now, again, if the EMK devices were awful and they were bad, then nobody in first responders, EMS, rescue squads, sheriff's department, nobody in any of those agencies ever came and told any of us or said a word about it.
We didn't know about it until January, which it took place in November, even a month.
2 months later before we found out about it, yeah. So, I mean, it's not ideally, and like I said again, I'm not coming down on you, Jamie. I think you do a good job what you're doing, man. I don't know how to do your job, so I applaud you doing your job, because I don't know how to do it, man.
The communication system failed just before Christmas, I know, because that's when I got
I
that when you say.
I don't know what to say.
You know the date on the board.
I'm just saying, the bottom line is, we keep getting a bunch of, whatever. Well, we got a kid missing. We got a kid missing, and people would rather say, well, you know what, if the county commission approved this and approved this, then we wouldn't have this problem. We obviously didn't have this problem before. Over a year ago, we approved to fix it like it was before, but nobody done anything. Again, whoever has their beef with whoever else, and whoever don't want to fix something because they don't want a certain company working for whoever, don't know. I don't care. I personally don't care. It's about the fact that we did our job. We did what the people of Hawkins County elected us to do. We are in a stalemate right now. We're waiting, and we're not waiting on county commission. We're waiting on somebody else to tell us, here's what you got to do now. Let's do it. We approved it before. Let's do it now. Obviously, the Band-Aid wasn't going to work because we didn't put it on. So we're just waiting, man. Like you said, we're waiting on stuff. It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. But we're waiting. We're waiting.
These agencies have presented their weaknesses that they had during this. Obviously, there's going to be cost involved with fixing that, whether that's digital or tacking. Obviously, that'll have to be put in the form of a resolution and presented by a county commissioner to the commission for approval for that. If that's the route the commission decides to go. We don't choose the radio system or the amount of money funded for it. Like I say, the whole fact of going to digital is there's no funding right now allocated.
Yeah, we're still back to the fact that the system was working okay before, and we gave approval to fix the system like it was because it was okay before, and it did not get done because somebody else had, somebody else didn't like somebody. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care. But we still gave approval to do all that, and still nothing happened because we got told to wait. We got told to wait. And I guess to me, the reason it aggravates me so bad is because I was chairman for that year that I got told to wait. I mean, I actually got made to look stupid pretty much that one meeting. Even though we got told to wait, even though we said let's do it. Okay, we said let's do this, man. Let's get this fixed like it was before. Like it was before doesn't mean we have to stop right there. Doesn't mean we can't find anything else. Like I said 10,000 times right now already. I don't need you to go back at me. I'm not being rude. I'm sorry. I don't need you to tell me what's going on right now. We're trying to figure out. You know what? We did our job. We did what we were here to do. You guys have done your jobs of being out there searching for this little girl, man, and you've done an excellent job doing it. I mean, I'm saying, man, on the news.
Somebody did not send those radios to get them fixed, put them back in place like we approved.
Like we approved, and we all know where those radios are sitting at.
I personally was not given authorization to do that.
That's fine that you weren't, and I understand. I'd cover my butt too. But I mean, it had nothing to do with you. I'm just saying it was given. We gave authority to do that, whether it be you or whoever. I don't take it's not on you.
Yeah.
It's not on you. I don't know who it's on. I'm not saying anybody's name.
No, I don't either.
But we gave the approval. That's all we can do. We can't pick up radios and say, okay, so come in here and fix this for us. We can't do that. We don't have the authority to do that. We have the authority to tell you or whoever else powers to be that this needs to be done this way, we're gonna give you the money to fix this, and let's find something else to do better than that afterwards. We got the authority to do that, and that's what we done. That's all we done. Not putting it on you, not pointing fingers, cause shit, I mean, we get enough fingers pointed at us, man. I mean, we got some big shoulders, and it always says, if you point a finger back, man, you got a daggone problem. Cause people wanna argue, wanna fuss and everything else. We've done our job. We've done our job. And we've done the best we can do at our job to get radio speakers back like they were. We are waiting, but we're not waiting on county commission. We're not waiting on you. I know that. We talked about it. You talked about it. We're not waiting on you, but we're waiting. But we're not waiting on this body. Go ahead, Mr. Judge.
One of the things that we did was we approved the $400,000 because that's what we were told that it took to get the system back to where it was prior to January.
That is correct. Pending, but we.
There was no pending.
It was asked that we try to obtain grant money for that. Just like building a house, in order to get a loan, you can't start construction first. The same thing with grants. If you have started a project and applied for a grant, the need is no longer there.
But when we was talking, there was no mention of the grant. They said that it took around $400,000 to get the system back up exactly like it was. That's what we voted on.
You may get anything else?
Can I address the number issue there, Mr. Arrell?
When you give your report.
Okay, all right. I didn't know why you were talking about it, if I could go ahead with it or not.
We gotta move on. We gotta move on.
So that you asked how you guys can help us. One, continue support. I request and ask all these individuals here, and also the rest of the county commission, not only to visit my agency, go visit the rest of the agencies. See what stuff they have to provide. Go talk to them. Instead of us sitting here doing what we just done over issues, some people just can't get up in front of people and discuss an issue. Some people just don't have that ability. Go to where they're comfortable. Let's figure out where our weaknesses are, where we can become stronger all together. The additional thing to that would be, and I've spoke to several commissioners in roundabouts ways about how they could help. Would be my agency and also Hawkins County City being provided that additional $11,000 that the volunteer agency are getting on the annual contribution. I know Hawkins County asked for more than that. I know my agency asked for more than that. But that alone will help tremendously. I know my agency will help tremendously. That additional funding and that's where we'd like your guys.
Because I'm proud of you, right quick. I'm assuming you've never had to deal with anything like you had to deal with news media and TBI and everything else. Right? You probably never had to deal with any of this stuff. Like
not on that level. I've dealt with it, but not on that level.
I watched you, like I said, and I was proud of all you guys, but I was proud of you, man. I really was. And I told to your people that, especially when I first seen the news there. I said, Coach, you're good. I see you were very well spoken. I want you to know, I was proud of you for you did good. You did good. And at one point there, I was watching you, and I actually thought to myself, how hard would that be to have to get up in front of people on the news, knowing everybody's seeing you, and say, I don't have anything good to tell you. And I felt sorry for you too. I did, man. I felt sorry for you. I'm proud of you. Now, like I said, I'm proud of all the agencies and everything they've done. But I felt sorry for you, man. But I think you've done a good job. In case nobody else did, you've done good.
I very appreciate it. Like I said before, it wasn't just me. It was all these guys.
Yeah.
Like I said, you guys should be proud of every one of us.
Thank you. Okay, Hawkins County Rescue.
All right, everybody should receive a newsletter that I have laying out there. Did everybody get one? Okay, I'm gonna kind of skip around here, but we'll start on the first page. Our current issues are pretty much the same as last time. We're still responding to calls, especially EMS assist with positive cases of COVID-19 that our members are exposed to. Through the help of EMA, we're working with TEMA to get in supplies, protection supplies, hand sanitizer, gloves, stuff like that for our members at no cost to our agency. So that's been a big asset. And I can't put a dollar amount on how much we've received, but several thousands of dollars worth of equipment at no cost to our agency through that. On the public safety radio system for the county, we continue to have issues in our coverage area and additional areas that we respond, whether it be Churchill, neighboring counties that request mutual aid. Another big issue is a lot of our end user devices are in our vehicles, our handhelds and stuff like that. A lot of those devices came to us from a 2005 Homeland Security grant, and that equipment was gifted to our agency from the county. So a lot of those are getting several years on them. You know, the average shelf life is probably about 5 years on those, and we've far surpassed that. A lot of our radios and stuff like that our members have, as Jamie, I believe, mentioned, those are purchased by our members. They may be the same brand, a different brand, again, whatever the member can afford. We don't provide those. We have a cache of radios up there, and then our communication trailer, you know, for our members to use if need be. But a lot of members buy their own stuff. Another big issue up there, and I'm going to kind of skip around on the Ben Hill search. All the radios within the county have some interoperability issues with them. With that being said, some of the radios have some frequencies, some of them don't. So that's an issue that could be resolved or could be addressed in the future radio system, whatever the county decides to pursue. On the number thing, and I've talked to Commissioner Arell about this. This is just my recommendation to whatever you guys to decide, but I would recommend that, and Jamie has done this a couple times. I know best what my agency needs, and Coop knows what best, you know, ever how many devices he needs. And that agency that's requested that number, whatever it be, will need to be the ones to justify the number that they've asked for. And I believe that's the best way to handle that, versus saying 10 here, 10 there, 15 here, whatever. You know, it has to be within reason. So that would be my recommendation on the radio system. Does anybody have any questions on so far what I covered?
Yeah, Corey, I meant to ask Jamie, I'm sorry I did. I don't know because I just don't know. And you said something about shelf life on radios. And I know computers, you know, a computer, you know, a year and a half, 2 years down the road, computer you got, it's worth crap, you know.
Right.
Is the stuff y'all use the same way? Is it technology that just gets ahead of us and we just, I mean, what is it? I mean, because like I said, I don't understand radios. I mean, I understand this cell phone to a point, you know.
So it's just like a cell phone. I mean, you buy a cell phone today, it's out of date tomorrow. There's something new, newer, and you know, 5 years is, you know, basically what the warranty, and that's the expected life. And you know, we've been very blessed that this stuff has lasted as long as it has. You know, 15, 20 years. And you know, Jamie mentioned that a lot of times these radios are being used in the worst of worst conditions, whether it be water rescue, structure fires, whatever. So they're you know, exposed to all these different elements. So that affects the life of them and the performance of it as well. So there's always going to be something newer tomorrow, no matter what you get. And you know, we just have to take care of what we got, and you know, try to make it last as long as possible.
And I guess I've always wondered, is it that what we have doesn't work, or is it what we have outdated and we want better, and we need better because, you know, we know there's better out there? And like I said, you can ask Jamie. I've told Jamie 100 times, man, I have no clue about radios. You couldn't hand me your radio and tell me to turn it on.
Right.
I mean, unless there's a switch that says on and off.
Right.
I mean, you know, I couldn't use it probably after that, but I mean, I understand shelf life and stuff like that. I guess I'm just amazed that, you know, to me a radio, just like we've got phones that I'm sure that work that are 10, 15 years old, you know, but is it just the technology we need to keep up to date? We need to keep on and on, getting better with our technology we got so that everybody's okay, or is it just that stuff just completely doesn't work anymore?
Well, my personal opinion of this is that we need whatever's going to give us the best coverage, and and Jamie's mentioned it, it's been mentioned several times, there's going to be nothing that's going to give us 100% coverage.
Yeah.
But there's going to be something that's going to get us better than what we have now and what we had prior to any issues that were back in 2019, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Like I said, I'm just curious. I'm curious.
Flipping on over, I'm going to skip. I'm going to come back to the county contribution part. So we're actively seeking grants, just as other agencies have mentioned. We're kind of restricted to some of the grants that we can get, so we're still working on those. We've got a member that's really good at writing grants, so we're using her to our advantage to try to obtain some grants. A lot of stuff on the Ben Hill Road has been covered, but I'll kind of go over it real quick. Our agency involvement. So we were requested on the 15th of June, shortly after Churchill was notified. They requested our agency to respond with our side-by-side, our mobile command trailer. So we responded initially with 13 members, like I said, around 7 o'clock. The search was suspended about 4 that morning, and we were back up there around 7 o'clock and started again. And 13 days later, we had members there throughout the whole thing, and Churchill tasked our agency with the logistics section. So we had one of our members, Sandra, and her husband, Tim. They really took off with that. When we asked for something, we got like 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 more than what we had asked for, and it just kept coming in. We had to get enclosed trailers in there to store the stuff, freezers. We had stuff stored at Churchill, stuff stored at our station. We had stuff all over the place. But we basically had a Walmart up there, if you will. I mean, we had everything from socks to food to medicine. We had everything that anybody could imagine. And several of the people that come in from the outside, and you guys should be proud of this, they said they'd never seen anything like that before in anything they've ever been to all over the United States. So I think that's something to be proud of for the first responders that we have here in the county. So as far as the search, our 13-day involvement, and like Tim mentioned, that's going to continue to grow if we get reactivated. But we logged 2,185 man hours. That has a value based upon the 2001 average of a volunteer of $62,359.90 worth of man hours that we put into that. Approximately 1,500 miles driven, and the reason for that was going to area counties to get supplies, and we also used a utility trailer that we have that our Rangers, our side-by-side is hauled on to haul personnel to the drop locations throughout the search. So Tim Lewis done a lot of that, hauling crews and stuff all over the Beach Creek area and picking them up. So we have a bunch of equipment that was committed to that search. Four-wheel drive Suburbans, our communication trailer. As it was mentioned, our event repeater was used initially. We continue to use that throughout the event for the transportation units that were picking it up. So we worked tiring up that main channel that was being used by the search crews. So that was used throughout the whole event. And we continue to stay in contact. Me and Tim talk almost daily, sometimes hourly. And we have equipment ready to respond if there was a reactivation with food and supplies that we would need to go back up there. So we have all that ready, as well as our members. So does anybody have any questions on our involvement with the Ben Hill search?
I guess I have one problem. I know the sheriff's office, I think, was the one that did it. They were advising people a lot of people not to come and mess the tracking system up. I'll put it that way.
Right.
But at the same time, the county commission was criticized for not being there.
Do you want to address that?
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. So it may be just strictly a little bit of confusion. It wasn't that we didn't want the county commission there. There was like I stated, there were several county commissions that showed up there. What we were requesting, not the community to be involved, other people other than these trained personnel, the agencies were requested, was for the actual search operations itself. For a couple different reasons. One, yes, the skilled teams, the canines that were in there, we had to be very tactful on where we deployed people, when we deployed them. And not only that, there was no public land of where we were at. So when you start bringing people outside of here other than emergency services who have permission, who have consent to be on these areas searching, and one person finds out, well, so-and-so was with them and they're not involved in anything, they're just a civilian coming in, we don't want the interaction. It takes away from what we originally were for. That was to find some wells. So it had nothing to do with not wanting these people there. The county commissioners, the other county officials, we had people from the bus shop there providing us a bus to transport people back and forth. Several other offices, the county offices, come by, drop off food, hang out, talk, pray with us. The command post itself, I mean, if you were involved in this county or outside this county in emergency services, or the county itself was more than welcome to. And I apologize if that was taken or confused or taken the wrong way. It was just we didn't want anybody from outside to step back for the search operations itself.
Well, it was on the phone that, you know, a lot of commissioners didn't get a lot of support from commissioners, but I also know some people that go to church there at Mount Carmel, where the command post was.
Yes, sir.
I believe.
Yes, sir.
And they were telling us they didn't want people in there at the time, because of the fact, you know, that Mester, and I guess they were saying that they didn't want them there doing the search.
Yes.
You know, like you're saying, it might have been good to come by the command post
Yes.
and offer your support.
Absolutely, and then like I said, and that was another thing. The church there where we had the command post.
Yeah.
That's another favor my agency or this county as a whole can never put a money value on.
I know.
And those people that went to that church were there, provided us food, they provided us everything. Like I said, those people were phenomenal, and it was strictly just for the search operations.
Any more questions on the Ben Hill search? All right, if you flip on over, our statistics, our call statistics, man hours and mileage for January through June of this year. So from January to June, we've had 308 calls that we've responded to, 8,975 miles that we've man hours, and 7,053 miles that we've driven during that time frame. I took and compared that last year to last year's numbers. You can see there, 2020, during that time frame, we had 199 calls, 3,517 man hours, and 4,551 miles. And a lot of the increase is going to be due to the search. But just comparing that from 2020 to 2021, during that time frame, our call volume went up 54.77%. Our man hours went up 155.19%, and our miles went up 54.98% increase in all those. So flipping back, and Tim had mentioned it there about the contribution to the rescue squads. And initially, we both asked for additional funding. We've been funded at $50,000 contribution for several years. And a few years back, I don't have the number, some of you guys were part of that and may know that off the top of your head, but we were cut back down to $49,000. So I know our agency asked this year in the contribution for an additional $26,000 to bring that total up to $75,000. So far, both rescue squads have only been allotted a $1,000 increase. And I've talked to several of you, on the side, other commissioners that are not part of this committee, but what we'd ask you to consider, and I know this will come up Monday night to vote on the budget, is the county fire departments were all given a $11,000 increase. And I asked you guys to think about giving us that additional $10,000 to make the contribution for this year, $11,000 for each rescue squad like you done for the county fire departments. If you could do that, think about that for Monday night, I'd greatly appreciate it. I've showed you the numbers where our calls have continued to increase over the years, even just the increase from 2020 to 2021. And I know it's been referred to back to the ad hoc committee about some funding. Again, that's going to be a one-time type deal. And we're looking at some expenditures that's going to go for several years, such as vehicle replacement. So when we go take a loan out for $150,000, $200,000 for a truck, it would be nice to know that we've got got that money coming in more than a one-time increase, if that makes sense. Just like me and you, if we go buy a house, we're dependent on our income, and we know we're getting a certain amount to pay that bill. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd think about that. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Is the rescue squad still charging when y'all go on the scene of a wreck?
So we started in January of this year. We started an insurance recovery program that's through Fire Recovery USA. There's a lot of volunteer agencies in Sullivan County that use it, as well as a couple agencies here in Hawkins County. So the way we do that is if we are dispatched, and it only takes place on motor vehicle crashes. So if we respond to a motor vehicle crash, our members, as well as at least one truck, Depending on what we do, myself and Lieutenant Lynn Campbell, we review all those run sheets, and we make sure that the services that we provide warrant us filing a claim through that fire recovery program. And so that the fees that are sent out to and nobody when we started this program, no citizen, no visitor, nobody that's involved in a crash gets a bill. So if I'm in a crash and Mr. Jesse is, we will never see a bill. Actually, we don't know that there's been a bill sent to our insurance company. And your insurance company has a right to pay it. They have a right to deny it. So, and it's always, whatever they bill at, it's always whittled down, and that company that we use takes so much % out of that. So we get very little, and unfortunately, a lot of people here, including myself, have Farm Bureau insurance, which doesn't have that clause in there for that insurance billing. So a lot of policies have that money built in, and it's just sitting there. Your insurance company's not going to advertise that. But the way I explain to people is, I would want somebody getting that money that provided me a service versus some CEO going to the Bahamas on a business meeting. So that money's available to any agency that wants to take part of it, whether it's paid or volunteer. So
year to date, how much have you?
I don't have those figures in front of me, but I know we have it's a 60 some odd % deny rate and about a 30% approved rate that we get back. So
bring that number where you Monday night.
Okay.
If you don't care. Anybody got anything else?
Just real quick, we've got a fundraiser coming up for our junior members on August the 7th. You can see that in there about the car wash fundraiser from 8 to 2. And, as far as training, we still, we're involved with that search for many days. We still have people going to training. We had a couple members just complete some rope training in Signal Mountain, Tennessee, down in Chattanooga. Got 6 people involved in basic extrication that'll be wrapped up on August the 14th. And then we got 1 member advanced open water divers certification. That should be finished later this month, and then contact information on the back if you guys have any additional questions. Anybody else got anything? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody here from the Fire Association? Anybody here from the constable? All right, we'll move on down to discuss the courthouse, city, county building, security, Mr. Woods, Lieutenant Woods.
First off, I know you said you hadn't had any updates on the search. Of course, the search ended, but the sheriff's office is still fielding all sorts of telephone calls, emails, you name it. Between calls into the office and the TBI, we're still following up each and every one of them. So we're not done yet. And somebody out there knows something. Somebody's seen something. And I encourage somebody to call us, let us know. We need every little piece of information we can get, and we'll take it. They're still making some spot searches here and there, things like that. So any info we can get at all, we'll take it. I don't care what it is. Call and let us know. Call TBI, fine. Give us the information. I'll let you ask me questions, I guess.
Well, can you talk about the little incident at Churchill City County building about
there was a threat made at the Churchill City County building, and the person making the threat has been charged, and I believe he has been served, I think. So his day will come into court. The sheriff's office placed an officer up there for the day to sort of provide security in the building. We also, I think he also made a threat to Holston Electric. So hopefully that situation now is, is over with. We've had no further complaints or no further threats that I know of. We still, go ahead, sir.
Oh, go ahead.
We still, I'm still short some folks, in my division due to health problems. Hopefully I'll have one back on Monday. And continue to pray for Derek Hensley, who's still undergoing cancer treatment. He has cancer. He has colon cancer. He's been undergoing treatments now for a while, and he's doing okay. Yeah, keep him in your prayers, please.
The reason I was bringing this up, this is starting to be an issue in the county building and also in the city county building in Churchill. And I know it's been brought up several times about security at both locations. And I think that we kind of need, I think the little incident at the Churchill City County building has become a big issue overall. And I don't know if we need to send public buildings, start looking at getting a building or start getting more security, or we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do to protect the county employees in Hawkins County. So, Nancy, you wanna say something about this?
It's not an everyday problem, but we do have citizens that, don't understand why they can't register something or why this costs this much or whatever. And it's an ongoing problem. It's been a problem ever since I've been in office in 2014. I do have concerns for my employees. I have concerns because of the layout of the office and the inability to lead the situation for all of us. So I strongly encourage you to look at the possibility of permanent security in both buildings.
And people must not know you, Nancy. I wouldn't want to know you,
I did a study, for the county courthouse and annex, request of Sarah Davis, and which I have presented copies at different meetings and stuff. And I may have some copies here if you still want to see another copy. I can give you a copy of the cost for security equipment along with personnel. I was asked to do another study for the Churchill City County building, which I completed it also, for security equipment and personnel. We can maybe cut that personnel option down by one and still be able to work the plan. Things are changing in this world, and it's great to have freedoms and things, but we also have a lot of people out here who are, a little unhinged, a little unstable. And people get mad, and there are problems that arise from that. We have a new law that allows folks to carry their firearms in office buildings and in the public if they want to, and so I hope that makes things safer. But it could be a bad situation too. So I think that you really need to look at the whole picture and then make an educated decision on it. I would like to have this equipment in this building and the others too. Also made a presentation to the ad hoc committee about a body scanner for the jail, which needs it desperately, and 3 new metal detectors, which aren't overly expensive, to replace the ones we've had for 13 years. They're becoming where we have to adjust them, change the settings on them because they'll feed off of each other and things like that. So they're getting old and they're starting not to work as well. I would also like to see one of those in the jail if possible, because we have a lot of people with introduction problems, trying to sneak drugs into the jail or into the, trying to falsify drug tests and things like that. So it's a pretty big picture, and with the drug situation that we have today, that just makes it a whole lot worse. The mental health situation in our country is really going downhill. It is.
There's other things you have to look at also though. I know this is a big issue.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got solid waste, these convenience stations, people get mad at those.
They do.
In the parks sometimes. You know, we're gonna have to look at the big picture
Yes.
and look at everything.
Yes.
Not just the mayor's office and the courthouse. There's others involved too.
Oh, yes, I understand. The county owns a lot of land, a lot of buildings, and employs a lot of people. And I wish there was some easy way to keep everyone safe, but it's not an easy way to do that.
I know,
But what we have here is we have people in a close area, and it's sometimes there are large amounts of money that go in and out of here, tax time and whatnot. So it's something for us all to really look at. Like I said, I've done some initial studies on it. And, I think I've got some extra copies today. If you all want to look at one, I can give you one.
Mr. Shanks, would you like to say something about all this?
Just a couple of things.
Come up front.
I'm fine. I'll stand back here. I'm not going to jail.
Oh,
We've actually had people who legally were carrying guns walk into offices over custody issues, crying, disoriented, a lot of stuff y'all have no idea about. And I agree with what Mr. Thacker said. It's not just here, but it's it'd be a hard find to walk into too many courthouses and not encounter some type of an officer. I was in Sevier County training just a few months back, and I think when I walked in the front door of theirs, there were about 8. And you didn't make it past the front. But it's just the money issue. I've heard them in Nancy's office. I know how well that goes. It happens in our office. And I don't even pretend to know what you all deal with. I've been out too long, but it's not gotten any better. I'm sure of that. So anything you all can do, we would definitely appreciate it if you'd consider it. As little.
Hey, this, something like this, almost like road rage. You never know when it's gonna happen. Or you never know where it's gonna happen.
No, I agree with that.
That's one reason why, for the personnel. If we have someone that's here in the building, relatively really close by, something can happen over here in the annex, and the officer working in here, might be upstairs. But that's really close when you compare it to having to call, say, the city police department or a deputy sheriff to come in off the road here to answer the call. So that's why the person being here means a lot. Plus, they also can watch people and look at people as they come in the building. They can check them out and look at them, see what kind of condition they're in. Are they intoxicated? Are they mad? Are they angry? Sit there and talk to them and ease things up before they get to the point of going to Nancy's office or go to Jim's office or any other office in the building. So that's why I think the officers themselves are imperative, plus the security equipment, the cameras, the alarms, and that sort of thing. That just adds to it to make it better. And telephones in certain areas. We may need a telephone. But some of the stuff we already have, and some of the stuff just needs a little upgrade. And I think it's just going to make us safer altogether. It really will.
Now, Commissioner Jesse, he talked to me about the public buildings. I think it might be looking at another building for the city-county building in Churchill. Have y'all done anything? You were on that committee, right? Public building. Have y'all done anything on that?
No, we should just talk about it now.
All we have in that building, Nancy, is your office. And then what else is in there that belongs to the county?
The clerk of courts has an office, I'm not sure what days he's open. The trustee's office is open several months.
About 3 months a year, probably.
Several months during the year for tax season. Also, the assessor's office, I think they have a very small space that they have to use up there, you know, maybe to drop off their computers or whatever they have up there.
And the sheriff's office has an office.
Yes.
And we do use ours about 5 or 6 months a year,
Okay.
actually.
So do y'all have enough space in that building? I mean, overall, all of you, I mean, all together, everybody that's in there. I know it's a small building, but
Well, I have 3 clerks there, so I have, front counter for the clerks and, one office in the back of the store, supplies and things.
I think, I don't know, I think public buildings and the budget committee needs to get together and decide on a building, if you're gonna do that. Figure out where we can get funds to start this security thing, cause it's starting to be a big issue and I mean, the main thing for commissioners are concerned is the safety of the employees in Hawkins County. So I don't know, we need to just set up a meeting with public buildings, joint with the budget committee to figure this out, to start figuring it out or what. I know, I've seen you at the ad hoc committee several times and I mean, as of today, unless Jim tells me different, we still don't have no money there, so it just needs to be pulled down, my understanding. But we gotta figure out how to do that, if it's the resolution or whatever, but we're gonna have to start looking at this city county building and this courthouse more serious, in my opinion, and if y'all wanna make a recommendation or whatever y'all wanna decide, I mean, it's fine with me. I'm just gonna vote anyway, so.
Let me tell you, excuse me, but, you know, this, that was one incident. We have similar incidents that happen in the Justice Center every once in a while. People will threaten or get mad, fuss in the parking lot, and, I mean, it happens quite often. Like I say, our situation in this country is bad, you know, mental health wise and drug abuse wise and things. So, you know, I'm not up to the Churchill City County building every day, and I don't know what all does go on, but I can, you know, I'd say more than goes on than what we know about.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know about it.
Commissioner Thacker. Oh, Kearns, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I want to commend Lieutenant Wood for his study on this and what he has presented. My concern is that, and I understood what you said about getting building people, you know, I think that we've had the red flag go up. We've seen that. In my opinion, it's not only as to how or what, it's when. And I think that funding is one thing, I realize all of it. But I think from this committee's point, I would like to see us make an action to start, whether it be this building or wherever, to deter this thing. Because maybe if we did one, he's not going to be at the second. You know, we don't know. I just think that we have been warned, and I think that, in my personal opinion, I don't want it on me that I failed to react, and one of our employees reacted. And you can't, it don't stop there. One employee, it affects a lot of people's lives. And I am deeply concerned that we need to take some action immediately, as soon as we can. And we'll fuss and argue about the funding, but we need to make a motion somehow to move forward with this thing. That's my opinion. And again, I thank you for what you've done on that. You did well.
Anytime.
And I know back during the pandemic, we would have meetings here. And coming in, of course, we had to have the mask, we had to do all that. But we was greeted by an officer out there too. And not only did he make sure we did whatever, but also witnessed that a lot of people came and where, when, how, what. And the guy was very open and very cordial, and his presence was felt by people coming in and said, go upstairs, second floor, right now.
I'm just deeply concerned that we need to activate something. I wish it was in place today.
I believe, and I know you can help me on this. I attended a meeting out at, the bus shop. And, I believe Alan said, the sheriff's office come first, paperwork second, the court system third, and people fourth. In that order, I believe. That's been a year and a half ago.
I'm not familiar with that.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's in order that he gave us. People's fourth on the list. And I was upset over it, I'll be honest with you.
I'm not.
But then I talked to the mayor, and he felt like I did for a few minutes. Then he got to thinking, he said, you know, he's right. He said the sheriff's department can't protect all the people of Hawkins County.
No, there's no way.
And they take care of the sheriff's department, and of course paperwork follows all that. And then the court system, paperwork goes along with all the court system. But he said he's right, people gotta learn to take care of themselves, or defend themselves, let me put it that way.
Well,
Because a sheriff or a county deputy cannot man every household.
oh no.
That's what he's saying.
You can't.
And I didn't understand that until I give it a lot of thought.
You're never ever going to, even if you had that proverbial cop on every corner, you still won't stop every crime.
Oh, no.
You know,
No, I know.
it's not going to work that way.
But what I'm looking at is the deterrence of the thing. Now, maybe you people don't operate like Tom Kern does. I'm going from here to Church Hill, and if I don't set my speed control on certain to keep it in there, and I look up and I see a car sitting over there that has the blue lights equipped, whether it be state, county, or whatever, guess what Tom does? Put that speed over. If I'm running 5 miles over, does it deter me? You better believe it does. That's all I'm saying here. We've been warned, and we know what's out there. It's happened a lot of places prior to us. What keeps us from letting it happen here?
Well, it's not a matter of
I just think
will it ever happen here. It's going to happen here.
Yeah.
We as the sheriff's office, we train every year on a thing called active shooter, in order to be able to combat or to go to an active shooter complaint. We do that every year. And we don't take the attitude of it'll never happen here. We prepare for when it does happen here.
No, I agree with that. And
With
I'm not saying-
emergency management, the school board, we all work together to try to make plans and to train and to be prepared for these things to happen, you know. When we get complaints or notice that something like that may happen, we start investigating it right now. We don't wait till the next
I
day.
don't question that 1 minute, sir.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm asking
Yeah.
is to make a couple additions.
Yeah.
Next year, and wherever we need to do that to protect our people. I don't question the training.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We prepare that
Yeah.
way, and thus even this building needs to be prepared that way. The folks in this building, you know, they're citizens, they're employees. We need to look over them as best we can.
That's only my.
Yeah.
Director Campbell, would you like to say something on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something to help reiterate what Lieutenant Wood said. We have a dashboard at the district that we can watch every district in the state pretty much real time. And what we track on that is the top 16 districts in the state, real time. Just about every day, we hit that top 16 busiest districts in the state of Tennessee. That's with 99 districts. So where Lieutenant Woods was talking about times are changing, that we're busy, crime it's happening in Hawkins County. So that's hard to believe when you compare us to like Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville, these busy 911 districts, but we're right there with them as far as the number of calls that we're receiving. So.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. I would make that suggestion.
Who's the chairman of the public building?
Rick, I believe.
Rick. Are we interested in setting up a meeting with them and see what they're doing, just so we can decide what we need to do, to send on to the budget committee, or? what do
Mr.
y'all-
Chairman, I want to say I support 100% security for our buildings. Ever since Mr. Woods first appeared for us a couple of months ago, I've been in favor of that. And what Mr. Kearns here said, I agree with him 100%. Whatever we need to do to get the ball rolling, I'm for.
Well, we need to.
Mr. Chairman, if you need a motion on that, then I make a motion, we immediately move.
We don't need one, I just set one
Okay,
up.
good. And let's get that
And
done.
at the same time, on the agenda, you need to put, I guess, discuss this along with the building in Mount Carmel, to see if we, or can, or will be located.
Yeah. I can sit there, and that way we can go ahead, we need to get this doing something on it, I guess, so.
And,
I guess.
It was asked of me in the last ad hoc committee meeting about where, how we can buy some of this equipment and stuff with that money, where it would apply, and I do have some information on that now. So I can give you all the information that I do have.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
Move we adjourn.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Motion adjourned by Commissioner Thacker, second by Commissioner Field, all in favor say aye.